Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are going to be talking about my June TBR along with some anticipated new releases that I can't wait to get my hands on. Let's talk about the new releases that I'm super excited about. I don't obviously have copies of them yet because they are going to be released this month. I have 6 books that I want to talk to you guys about. 4 of them are obviously contemporary romance books, and then 2 of them are mystery thriller books. And I also have a total of 15 physical books in front of me that are on my TBR for June that I can't wait to share with you guys. But before we get into the video, if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. That way you never miss another one of my videos. So I'm super excited. Let's get to it. Let's begin. So let's talk about my most anticipated releases for this month. I have a total of 6. I could have added more, but they're like second books in a series or first books in a series that I haven't finished the previous series from this author still. So that is why I haven't added them on here, but doesn't mean I'm not going to read them. Starting off with Ali Hazelwood's newest release, I'm happy to say that I'm caught up with her releases so far. I have read every book that she owns except for the little novella book that she has, which is a combination of 3 novellas in one. I haven't read that one yet, but everything else that she owns so far, I believe I have read, which is nice. Her newest book is Not in Love. All of these books that I'm going to talk to you guys about, I did not prepare very well for this video, meaning I don't really know the full synopsis, so we're going to either read the synopsis together. I'm just going to give you a little blurb of what I think the books are about. Not in Love is going to be out June 11th. All I know about this one is that it's a forbidden affair. A forbidden secret affair proves that all is fair in love and science. That's pretty much all I want to read. I mean, the synopsis is super long, but I kind of want to go into it blind because all of Ali Hazelwood's books, I've literally gone in blind and I've had such a great time reading all of them. I can't wait to read her newest release. I'm so excited about this one. The next one that is also coming out June 11th would be Catherine Center's newest release. I'm so excited for this one, and that is The Rom-Commers. Again, I have no idea what this is about, but I think it's about screenwriters who fall in love, something like that. She's rewriting her love story, but can she rewrite her own? Emma Wheeler desperately longs to be a screenwriter. She spent her life studying, obsessing over, and writing romantic comedies, good ones, that win contests. But she's also been the sole caretaker of her own kind-hearted dad who needs full-time care. Now when she gets a chance to rewrite a script for famous screenwriter Charlie Yates, the Charlie Yates, her personal writing god, it's a break too big to pass up. Emma's younger sister steps in for caretaking duties and Emma moves to LA for 6 weeks for the writing gig of a lifetime. But what is it they say? Don't meet your heroes? Charlie Yates doesn't want to write with anyone, much less a failed nobody screenwriter. Worse, the romantic comedy he's written is so terrible it might actually bring on the apocalypse. Plus, he doesn't even care about the script. It's just a means to get a different one greenlit. Oh, and he thinks love is an emotional Ponzi scheme. But Emma's not going down without a fight. She will stand up for herself and for rom-com and for love itself. She will convince him that love stories matter, even if she has to kiss him senseless to do it. But what if the kiss is accidentally amazing? What if real life turns out to be so much more than just fiction? What if the love story they're writing breaks all Emma's rules and comes true? Oh my gosh, this sounds right up my alley. He sounds grumpy. She sounds very sunshiny. She believes in love, that she's excited, and he is kind of like a Grinch in that sense where he thinks it's a scheme, and the fact that her goal is to prove him wrong. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And I love the fact that she writes rom-coms. Like, I am super excited about this. The next one I want to talk about comes out June 18th would be Lucy Foley's newest release, and that is The Midnight Feast. I only have read 1 book from her, I think. No, I've read 2. I've read The Guest List, loved it. I read The Paris Apartment, I think it's called. Absolutely loved it. I love Lucy Foley's writing. I love the way that everything is very suspenseful. There's always multiple characters. There's always multiple points of views, and you don't know who did it. You're trying to solve it together as you progress onto the book. I think it's so fun the way she writes. To me, it's not scary or very thrilling, but she also has really nice plot twists, you know, in the books. I enjoy her books overall. So I'm so excited to read this one. I really don't know what this one's about. Obviously, it's going to have the same formula that she provides in all her books where it's multiple characters, an event happens, and then a murder happens, and we don't know who it is. We got to find out who. But I'm so excited nonetheless, and all I really want to read to you is the first part. Secrets, lies, murders, let the festivities begin. It's the opening night of the manor, and no expense, small or large, has been spared. The infinity pool sparkles, crystal pouches for guests healing have been placed in the seaside cottages and woodland hutches. The manor mule, cocktail grapefruit ginger vodka, and a dash of CBD oil is being poured with a heavy hand. Everyone is wearing linen, but under the burning midsummer sun, the darkness stirs. Old friends and enemies circulate among the guests. Just outside the manor's immaculately kept grounds, an ancient forest bristles with secrets. And the Sunday morning of opening weekend, the local police are called. Something's not right with the guests. There's been a fire, a body's been discovered. Here are the suspects: the founder, the husband, the mystery guest, the kitchen help. I'm so excited. All the settings of her books are all very meticulous, prestige, very beautiful settings, very summery vibes. I can't wait. In the summertime, I crave a lot of beach reads, a lot of rom-coms, a lot of, contemporary romances, but I also crave a lot of summery thriller, mystery, whodunit type of vibes. Okay, so I'm excited for this one. I can't wait. Next up, also coming out on June 18th, is Riley Sager's new release, which is Middle of the Night. I have no idea what this book is about, but I love and crave Riley Sager's books every summer because typically that's when he releases his books, and they're always very eerie, dark, but fun, off the wall, outlandish, but just a great fun time. And most of them, or at least the ones I've read, are set in a summery environment. It's set in the summer, in the spring when it's hot out, or takes place during that time. So for me, every year I will be reading his new release because, again, he provides them at the perfect time for when I'm craving those books. A man must contend with the long ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighborhood. The worst thing to ever happen on Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. One July night, see, it takes place at least years prior to the events happening in the book. It takes place in July. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend and neighbor Billy fell asleep in a tent set up on a manicured lawn in a quiet, quaint New Jersey cul-de-sac. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. During the night, someone had sliced the tent open with a knife and taken Billy. He was never seen again. 30 years later, Ethan has reluctantly returned to his childhood home. Plagued by bad dreams and insomnia, he begins to notice strange things happening in the middle of the night. Someone seems to be roaming the cul-de-sac at odd hours, and signs of Billy's presence keep appearing in Ethan's backyard. That's all I'm gonna read. It sounds like it's got a little bit of paranormal elements in there. It's just gonna be so great. Also, seems like it's gonna be taking place in the summertime around that area, like a year later, which would also take place in July again. The next book that will also be coming out June 18th is Lauren Asher's second book in the series, which is the Lakefront Billionaire series, and that is Love Unwritten. I have the first book. I haven't read it yet. I love her books, and her books, most of them are, at least this little world or universe is about billionaires, and I love reading billionaire romances, okay? They're just, to me, they just hit. I love it, especially in the summertime. Raphael L.A. Sinclair is a hopeless romantic who writes love songs. I'm a struggling workaholic who could inspire 100 breakup albums. On paper, we have nothing in common except for my son. For 8 months, I avoid her until our summer trip. 14 days, 2 islands, and 1 nanny I shouldn't be attracted to. Spending time with Ellie is expected, but enjoying her company, that isn't part of our travel plans. After my divorce, I swore to protect my heart at all costs, even if it means breaking hers in the process. It's obviously a single dad, he's divorced, and they go on a trip in the summertime? Yeah, summer trip. She's the nanny, I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm not going to read any further. Again, I might have to read this one this month just because it's in the summertime. You're going to see my TBR right now, but it might change, okay? My TBR always changes, but these are, let's just call them hopefuls at this point, because I didn't know what the synopsis was, and obviously I have to read book 1 for this, but I'm very excited about this book. The last book I want to talk about, and I will be reading this one this month, is A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. It's her newest release. I love all her books. I love the cover of this, and I love the cover of all her books. And this one is about, I believe, a woman who is a writer, I think. A professor of literature finds herself caught up in a work of fiction, literally. Aline Merriweather loves to get lost in a good happily ever after, the fictional kind anyway, because at least imaginary men don't leave her at the altar. She feels safe in a book at home, which might be why she's so set on going to her annual book club retreat this year. She needs good friends, cheap wine, and grand romantic gestures no matter what. But when her car unexpectedly breaks down on the way, she finds herself stranded in a quaint town that feels like it's right out of a novel. Say no more, okay? This is another book that, again, I will be reading this month. I am so excited. This one comes out July 25th. June 25th. I can't wait. I'm super excited about this one. So now that we're done talking about my anticipated early releases, which I'm so excited to have in my hands this month, let's talk about all of the books that I have in front of me, with the exception of 2 that I'll be reading on my Kindle and 1 that I'll be listening to. Let's talk about the first one that I don't have a physical copy of, but I did get the audiobook of it, and that is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. The cover, I desperately need to own this book sooner than later, but I do have the audio version, so I'm excited to get into it. And just the cover screams summer. You have seen my wrap up. After reading The Unhoneymooners, I crave another book like that with the same vibe, and this one I think is going to give. All I know about this one is that it's a fake marriage of convenience, and that's pretty much it. That's all I really need to know about it. I can't wait to read it. I will be reading this one this month. I'm so excited, you guys. Let's talk about this next book that I finally got my hands on, that for some reason I just haven't gotten to it, and I've heard nothing but really great things about this book, and that is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I just love this cover, by the way. The fact that it's foiled and it's just got an elegant look to it, I love it. All I know about this one is that it's a second chance romance between 2 people that were married before, are now divorced, and I think they have kids, and it's their love story, and that's really all I want to know about this book. I love books that have anything to do with marriages, kids, because it's relatable to me in that sense, because obviously I am married and I have kids. But when it's a struggling marriage or a marriage on the rocks, it just hits differently, because being married and reading about a struggling marriage is just so, again, it's so emotional, because you could never imagine not being with the love of your life. You know what I'm saying? So I love reading books like this that just make me cry and feel emotional, feel all the emotions under the sun, and my heart breaking for the couple, because I know this will make me cry. It has the potential to do that. Next up, I want to read The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is the first book in the Off-Campus series. I am so tired of seeing this all around my TikTok For You page. I know, I am late to the bandwagon, and I did not get to it last month, but I really want to start it this month and hopefully maybe binge it. Who knows? We'll see. But I've heard that these are set in a college. I think they're hockey romances, and if you want to start a hockey romance, this is kind of like the way to go when dipping your toes in, which I'm not a big fan of sports romances, but I don't hate them either. So I think this is going to be fun. I've heard it's also very spicy. The men are very territorial, so I love that. Next up, I want to read the 4th book in the Chestnut Spring series, and that is Reckless by Elsie Silver. All I know about this one is that I think it follows Theo and Winter. And based on this cover and what I've heard, I think this is a surprise pregnancy trope, which we'll see how it's done, but these 2 characters obviously are part of this world, and you know who Theo is, you know who Winter is, and Winter is this very feisty, kind of grumpy, mean in a way, very uptight woman, and Theo is very laid back, kind of messy, but he knows what he wants and he's gonna go get it. Just the interaction that they had in the last book, which was Powerless, made me crave wanting to read this book. And I can't wait, because I know the banter is going to be delicious. I'm going to love the back and forth. I'm going to love the tension that they're going to have, because she's very snarky and very uptight. And again, it seems like he's very laid back, very not got it all together, but he's messy in that way, and I think it's just going to be perfect, so I can't wait. Also, I'm kind of annoyed because I did buy books 1 through 4, but I didn't know there was going to be a 5th book that was going to be released, and now I can't find anywhere where they have these original editions. So now my 5th book is going to look like the newest released edition, which is annoying. It's not going to match the rest of my books. It's beautiful, but it's not going to match the rest of my books. Next up, I want to read The Spanish Love Deception by Ellen Armas. I have been wanting to read this for the last 2 years in the summertime. This month will be the month. I will be reading this, mark my words. This takes place, I think, at a wedding. I think it's enemies to lovers. It takes place at a wedding in Spain. That's all I know about it. I don't want to read the back, and that's pretty much it. And the fact that it takes place in Spain, my gosh, you guys. Say No More. Then I want to read Shipped by Angie Huckman. I've had this for quite some time as well. I think this is an enemies to lovers workplace romance where they're on a cruise. And this year, my family and I are going on a cruise, and I thought I should just save it, you know? We're only going on a 3-day cruise because it's our first cruise. We don't know if we're gonna like it, but I felt like this would be the perfect beach read to read during a cruise, you know? But realistically, am I gonna read anything during those 3 days? Who knows? I'm gonna try. We will see. Maybe I'll do a little vlog on it. We'll see. But look at this cover. Look how cute this cover is, and it's so short. I have no doubt I will get through this one this month. Then I want to read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I forget the name of this series. But all I know about this one is that it's about this very uptight, I don't know if she's a celebrity, but she's kind of this very uptight woman who everything has been handed to her, and a fisherman. They fall in love, and that's pretty much all I know. Piper Bellinger is fashionable and influential, and her reputation as a wild child means the paparazzi are constantly on her heels. When too much champagne and an out-of-control rooftop party land Piper in the slammer, her stepfather decides enough is enough. So he cuts her off and sends her and her sister to learn some responsibility running their late father's dive bar in Westport, Washington. Piper has not even been in Westport 5 minutes when she meets big bearded sea captain Brandon Taggart, who thinks she won't last a week outside of Beverly Hills. So what if Piper can't do math and the idea of sleeping in a shabby apartment with bunk beds gives her hives? How bad could it really be? She's determined to show her stepfather and the hot grumpy local that she's more than just a pretty face. Crumpy Sunshine in the summer. He's a captain. There's probably going to be a boat scene. Okay, this month I have 2 Erin Hildebrand books because they keep staring at me, and everybody says that her books are just the best beach reads, but honestly, I haven't enjoyed the few that I've read. But again, these are on my shelves. I do intend to read them. This was on last month's TBR, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it's The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hildebrand. This one is a whodunit. I think this is her first whodunit that I'm going to read so far, and this one is about a perfect couple, or so it seems, and then I think on the wedding day or after the wedding, somebody ends up dead, and it takes place in Nantucket. There's a beach, there's a wedding, there's murder. It's a perfect combination for a summer beach read. I'm finally getting to this one, you guys, and that is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of this book. I have book 2, and now she came up with book 3 in this series. I've heard this one's the best one so far, and this one's about a maid who is hired. Things are just not right with the couple, with the husband and wife, and she finds herself kind of stuck in a very horrible situation, and that's all I really want to know about it. It says behind closed doors, she sees everything. This has like maybe a marriage that is just toxic, or it's in turmoil, or it's on the rocks, or the husband and wife aren't who they seem they are. I know I'm gonna binge this like crazy. Super excited for this one. The next one I want to read, I don't have a physical copy. I have a Kindle version of it, which I do intend to read from my Kindle more this month. Just in general, I want to be using my Kindle more just because I have it and I want to use it. I want to utilize it. It was free on Kindle Unlimited along with the audio. The Good Lie by A.R. Torre. I haven't heard anybody talk about this except for one girl who sold me on it. So I'm excited because it's a psychological thriller, and I love psychological thrillers. 6 teens murdered, a suspect behind bars, and a desperate father. In a case this shadowy, the truth is easy to hide. 6 teenagers dead, finally the killer behind bars. But are the games just beginning? Psychiatrist Dr. Gwen Moore is an expert on killers. She's spent a decade treating California's most deprived predators and unlocking their motives. Predators much like the notorious Bloody Heart serial killer, whose latest teenage victim escaped and then identified local high school teacher Randall Thompson as his captor. The case against Thompson as the Bloody Heart killer is damning and closed as far as Gwen and the media are concerned. If not for one new development, defense attorney Robert Caven is a still traumatized father whose own son fell prey to the BH killer. Convinced of Thompson's inconvenience, he steps in to represent him. Now Robert wants Gwen to interview the accused, create a psych profile of the killer and his victims, and help clear his client's name. As Gwen and Robert grow closer and she dives deeper into the investigation, grave questions arise. So does Gwen's suspicion that Robert is hiding something, and that he might not only be the one with the secret. I'm so excited. What more can I say? Next up, I want to read An Inconvenient Wife, a Modern Intruder mystery by Karen E. Olsen. Look how beautiful this cover is. Doesn't that scream summer whodunit? I have no idea what this book is about. Twisty, sly, and utterly unique. I know it's a retelling, but I have no idea of what. This is all I'm going to read to you. This astonishing crime novel, inspired by the Tudor era, takes the reader into the world of Kate Parker, who has just married billionaire Hank Tudor when a headless body is discovered near their summer home. I'm sold. Okay, sold. Now we're going to move on to dark romance, dark fantasy romance, and one fiction and fantasy. The next book I want to read is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This is part of the Never After series, and these books are about the villains in fairy tales. So they're fairy tale retellings, but the villain gets the girl. And we all love morally gray men, okay? At least I do. It's a Peter Pan retelling, and these books are not interconnected, so you can read them in any order you want. I am going to read them in the order that they were published or in the order that they come in, but this one I heard is super spicy. And I can't wait to read it because I am in my dark romance era. I just read The Cat and Mouse Duet by H.D. Carlton. I'm obsessed with the dark side in a romance anyways. So this is going to be my second dark romance-ish sort of say. This one follows James and Wendy, and I think James was Captain Hook, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. He wants revenge, but he wants her more. I'm not going to read the back. I'm just going to go in it blind. It's the best way to go into dark romances, to be honest with you. And obviously, for your mental health, check the trigger warnings, but I have found that checking trigger warnings to me kind of deter me from reading a book. And right, that's what trigger warnings should do for you, but to me it kind of ruins the experience because I'm anticipating that actual scene in that book that's going to be disturbing and triggering. I don't really get triggered a lot. I don't like to read about assault or anything that has to do with kids, but if I go into the book knowing that, I know I'm not going to pick it up. So if I know that it's a dark romance and it's there, I don't really care to read the trigger warnings. Judge me all you want, but I don't care because if it's going to be there, it's going to be there, and I'd rather just enjoy the ride before it gets to that scene instead of me anticipating it, if that makes sense. But for everybody else out there, obviously check your trigger warnings because your mental health is important. My dark romances, I'm probably not gonna always check the trigger warnings, to be honest with you. But anyways, can't wait. I'm excited. Then I want to read, and I have held myself back from reading this book sooner than later just because I wanted to take a little break and not find myself reading the entire series, and that would be what my wrap up was, okay? So I'm gonna read book 2 in the Ruthless, oh, I have a bookmark in here. Sorry guys. I'm gonna read book 2 in the Ruthless Boy series, Savage Fate. Let me just tell you, this series, book 1, leaves you in the biggest, I don't know if you want to call it a cliffhanger, but enough to jump into book 2, 3, and 4, and 5, okay? I don't even know how I stopped myself from doing it, but I'm so excited to get to this one. This series actually, the spice picks up a lot sooner than Zodiac Academy. I mean, we're already in book 2, and book 1 we've had so many spicy scenes already and really good ones. Then I want to read The Revenant Games by Margie Fuston. I think this is a YA fantasy, and this one is about humans and vampires and how humans, I think, have to fight for their lives in order to survive, something like that. The synopsis on this sounds so good and so interesting that I know it's going to be such a good read. And then finally, the last book on my list is The 5-Star Weekend by Ellen Hildebrand. All I know about this one, it's about rich people drama. Basically, a woman who happens to invite some of her friends that she's had in the past to this retreat, and they spend a weekend together, a luxurious weekend together, but the friendship between these women and their personalities are very toxic, so it's just drama filled. Also takes place in Nantucket. It's beautiful. The covers of Ellen Hildebrand's books are always very beautiful, and I'm always so tempted to want to read them in the summertime. All right, so there you have it. Those are all the books that I want to get to this month. I have a combination of a little bit of everything, which is what I like in, you know, in my TBRs anyways. But hopefully I get to these and hopefully I can read them all. We will see. I don't know. I can't promise anything, but I will try. So that's it. That's it for today's video. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I will catch you on my next one. Bye!